So last week I lost about 9 grand, and yeah, I'm out here eating fucking dried ass spaghetti. Yeah, there's not a single piece of meat in there. Doesn't even have a lot of fucking actual sauce, cause 9 grand down the fucking toilet. Yep. So that's what happens when you lose what you don't have. You eat fucking pasta without meat and very dry, very dry. Yeah. Lock in, lock in, lock in, lock in. You don't want to be eating dry pasta. And like, as I'm reviewing this, all this footage and stuff, from like the past week or so. I mean, listen, it's a week. It is what it is. You know, fuck it. If you learn, you'll get back up from it, and it'll be worth it. You know, that's the thing. It'll be worth it. It'll sincerely be worth it, right? But you gotta be able to learn about, like, you gotta be able to learn from it. Anyways, I was reviewing this fucking thing, and yeah, bro, listen. Okay, over leveraging, bro, you can, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So what I've been learning is that if you're gonna over leverage, you pretty much have to be right on, right? Go for short plays. Why? Because if you're going for a shorter plays, then you're like you're 100% on that's gonna go up, right? It's standing here and it's gonna go up, right? But if you're going for a short plays, it's very risky to have like a bunch of leverage for it to go up a little bit, get a small retest, and you're fucked. You see how low this is? You're fucked. Down here, you're fucked, yeah, because you're so over leveraged. So, you know, if you're gonna over leverage, make sure you're watching the chart like this, and then once it goes, a little bit up, if you're over leveraged and you're trying to go for a quick snipe, take it there. You know what I mean? Go for, you gotta pretty much go for what you're going for. You know what I mean? You cannot be over leveraging for a huge place. And if you do want to leverage up, what I suggest is start here, goes up, it hits your fucking entry, and then as it's going up, that's when you start buying in. When you get those fat ass candles, yeah, you start going up, and then as it's going up, right, and you have that momentum, then you leverage. You know how they tie together, momentum, leverage, yeah. So that's when you have your opportunity to actually leverage up, and then boom, boom. That's when you probably could double up maybe, and then yeah, you won't be as fucked, because then if it does retrace, at least you're not. For example, let's say you're here, right, and it retraces with 20 minis, right? Goes here. You're fucked if it's at minus 2K. But let's say you're at 10 minis, then you're at minus 1K, which is still survivable to some accounts. And let's say it goes up here, minus 1,000, retraces, goes back up here, then goes to this level. And then you're like, okay, I'm in the area. It's about to turn, it turns into a fucking big green candle because it's coming back up, whatever. So here, as it's starting to go up, this is where you could like, all right, I'm going to double up and then boom, cash out. Somewhere, if you're going for quick snipes, but you could also, what I've been taught a lot is that, you should really go for those 15-minute plays. They're more secure. You won't fucking be like all stressed out and stuff. And most of the time you make a lot more money, right? You got to be obviously looking for those good entries, and always listen. I don't know, shit, bro. Okay, whether you're going for quick snipes or not, if you're going for like an actual long entry, 15-minute, 30-minute, hour, 100% stop loss. That's all I'm gonna say, right? Over leverage or not, stop loss. The part where I do recommend leveraging up a bit is if it starts to hit if it starts to get into your range and it starts to go up, that's when you could leverage up, What I was doing was a bit of a mistake and a bit of a weird thing, right? I mean, it kind of works, but it only works if you're looking at the retraces very well, but which you got to be glued to the fucking screen. So when it would go down, I would see it come down, and I'd be like, all right, it's gonna come up. So when it's down here, I would buy more, which is a pretty good strat, to get more money out of it. But if it's down, you don't really want to leverage up a lot, if that makes sense. It's weird, but you gotta stop losses and leverage. Watch out for that. And so I told myself, right, the Prodigy will be back, and um, he'll dominate, this time all the way through, hopefully. So. So looking back at this clip, same thing here. The setups are gonna be weird, and depending on how you're trying to scalp, uh, you're gonna have to. I mean, you don't have to, right? But you could take some semi shitty setups, and like for example, with that kind of iffy setup, you have to pretty much, again, as you saw, be able to handle a retrace in any direction that you're. Let's say you're going up, you have to be able to handle a retrace on the other direction. So that's why you don't want to be able to. That's why you don't want to over leverage like that. You could. I mean, this is how do I say this? First of all, you gotta have some WS entries, right? Because you're not going in for like any type of dumb place. Obviously, if you're going for a play, it's gonna go in that other direction. But even if it's going in that direction, it doesn't guarantee that you're gonna survive any retrace, which is there's always gonna be retraces, always, unless it's already a confirmed setup. Then, I mean, you're kind of safe at that point. You're kind of safe, but then you're not taking as much out of it as you could or should. And you're more or less relying on your actual analysis and not on your overall analysis, I guess, which is pretty good, to be honest. That's more of the safer route. And also definitely the best route you should be taking for those longer trades. But I'm talking about those short ones. Those short ones. So yeah, if you're going for like short plays, maybe even semi-short, definitely have a stop loss at some high point, just because fuck, bro. There's been so many times where I'm like, okay, this is gonna turn around, next thing you know, I'm minus 2K, minus 3K, and that's okay, I guess. That's okay if it's gonna come back. But listen, at that point, if you're minus 2K, minus 3K, there's an issue. There's an issue with your setup. You must have misread something, because instead of losing minus 2K, instead of losing minus 3K, you could have made those 3K. So either at that point, I think you actually got to zoom into the chart more to see the actual, like, more of this patterns and stuff. And there's gonna be times where it's like, for example, the market is bearish, right? It's going down, but it starts to become bull. So you're like, all right, it's gonna, overall it's looking bearish, but then you're like, it's gonna go up, bull, then bear, small bull, then big bear. But it's like, at that point, you really gotta analyze how big is how big is this fucking bull gonna be? Because sometimes you think it's gonna be a small bull, and then it just fucking skyrockets 20 points, and then if you were at a certain point, you're fucked. If it goes up, you're like over leveraged, right? So that's why wait for those clean setups, over leverage on the retrace coming back. That's what I recommend. Not when it's going up and you're like, well, I'm gonna try to catch this reversal. No, big mistake, for me, goofy at trader. Play with the actual retraces that you see already. It's a little hard to sometimes catch those retraces, but just wait for slight confirmation. Sometimes, especially in Asia market, yesterday I did Asia. Fuck Asia, bruh. Asia just has the fucking craziest fake outs ever. Listen, New York is the best thing ever. New York, London morning, best thing ever. Asia, fucking sweats everywhere. And those guys just keep pushing up. So like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, you just ride the wave with that. It's very, very hard to catch retraces on Asia. I could catch retraces on New York because there's so much, I guess, liquidity, right, going up and down. But yeah, just watch out with that, and make sure that if you're gonna go for a retrace, that you have enough leverage to hold on. If not, don't even. Let's say you just literally, like, if you're going for 50% of a play, right, then throw 10% as it's going into the retrace, and you're sensing the full retrace, then just throw 10%, five. Let's say you have 5 stones, right? 5 stones. Throw one stone. Throw one stone. So you could hold. You could get some early positions. 1, 2 minis, and then as it starts to actually retrace and show, for like actual pushing force against the direction that you think, because you'll look at the chart. If you're looking at the chart, you'll see how, if it's, for example, you thought it's gonna be bullish and it's being bearish, it'll go down, right? It'll be bearish, but then it'll, based on how bearish it's being, based on the time. So you also gotta analyze the time based on how the speed of it, how fast it is going down. Then you'll be able to analyze and have a more clear view on when the actual retrace is gonna be. And you don't gotta catch it perfectly, like right as it flips, right? Because remember, that thing is gonna go up. It's the entry is just as simple and important as the exit. And sometimes whenever you try to catch those very, very sharp retraces, for example, you'll go for like a very short play, and then you'll actually miss out on like the actual wave. You'll catch a small wave instead of holding on to the full one, when you just got to be able to balance both the entry and the exit to get the maximum profits. And yeah.
GLSUV, el jet, volado en el G5. Esto es Louis V, no Levi. Duro en España como un Levi, tomando titanes como Capitán Levi. Yo tengo esa grasa arriba, no los veo de ser Libra y Light. Young got Winchester DY, no confío en nadie, solo mi mind. Yeah, tengo a Biden en la... Si llevan como 3 años diciendo que van a apretar. 4 Rolly, 2 AP. Young Rich nigga como Mbappé. Young Rich nigga, mírame el bate. Young Rich nigga buscándome un check. Carro foreign y no esté. No soy de medallo, pero estoy blessed. Block 42 y no es de sex. GLSUV, el jet. 4 Rolly, 2 AP. Young Rich nigga como Mbappé. Young Rich nigga, mírame el bate. Young Rich nigga buscándome un check. Carro foreign y no esté. No soy de medallo, pero estoy blessed. Block 42 y no es de sex. GLSUV.
So, just how you can have a really good play, you could also have a really, really bad play. So the following play that you're about to look at is a very, very horrible play. I'm talking bad entry, right? Bad entry, horrible entry, no stop loss, kept holding, like probably the worst play you could ever see, honestly. Over leverage, like what the fuck? Yeah, horrible play. So you want to do this, listen, the thing about this is it would have been a semi-good play. Even then, you're over-leveraging, right? Over-leveraging, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I was trying to go for a snipe, and that's the crazy part, right? If you're going for a snipe, first of all, if you're going for a snipe, you want to have a stop loss. At least a mental, quick, like, stop loss. But if you're holding, like, that was an actual horrible trade. Horrible trade. Not only was I playing for snipe and kept holding as if it was going to have a reversal while it was already at I had two tails down there, as you can see, that were indicating that it was going to have a reversal, retrace, right, in a bullish direction. But yeah, it makes no sense either, because I over leveraged. I put 30 and stuff, 30 minis for no reason. So it makes absolutely zero sense. So at that point, you gotta learn something. Like, if you're going for snipes in it and you see that, oh shit, I'm down, like, as soon as I saw maybe minus 300, that's it. If I'm going for snipes of, for example, 100, and I see I'm 3 times down what I'm actually trying to profit, cut the losses, because at that point, that's a whole misplay. And if you're going for a misplay and you're riding the hopes and dreams of a fucking misplay, you're being delusional in a very wrong sense, right? It's weird. You shouldn't do that, because one, you're sticking onto something that will keep making you lose, when you could cut your losses, and number 2, you could ride the actual wave. So it was a misplay. So instead of going for a short, if I went for a buy, I would have been up there. But instead I was losing money. So because of a misplay, and just that misread in itself, it basically just crumbles your whole tower. So if you go for a misread, you accidentally misread or whatever, fuck it, cut your losses. If it's a misread, it is what it is. Acknowledge it and get over it. Started my new, oh shit, bro. It was eating like a fruit. Started my new funded and passed the evaluation, and then currently down like around 3,800. So yeah, recovery tomorrow. All right, so it is the following day, and yeah, it didn't go well at all. Yeah, no real recovery. I mean, listen, what I learned from that is anything that you want to try to do in the market, you pretty much have to be able to do it in real life. And I'm talking mentally, right? Like any sort of play, any sort of literal effect or play, right? Like literally, I'm talking like in terms of for example recovery, right? You lost, for example, 4,000 and you have 500 left to recover. If you're able to recover in real life, right? Like, you know, real life situations, then your mind is like, you know, quote unquote strong enough to replicate that in the market. So you know, market is only up and down. Life is gonna usually be ups and downs. And again, I have this thing where momentum and leverage actually they coexist a lot. So how do I say this? Like the more momentum you get, the more leverage you get, the more they'll go higher, right? And the more you're able to manage that in real life, the more you're able to manage that in trades. And well, if you're not good at managing low momentum and low leverage in real life, aka having no money, aka having no opportunities, and or not taking advantage of opportunities and not taking advantage of the leverage you were giving or have been taken away into creating a sort of spiral reversal to go up, then you cannot really do those things. For example, I still think that there's a lot of capable people that are able to. Holy fuck, my bro, I'm a little tired, bro. I still think there's a lot of people that are capable of quite literally doing like a full counter from minus 3,000 all the way back up. But it would depend a lot on if they're actually capable of doing that in real life as well. So yeah, yeah, definitely the market. It's like a mirror, I guess, of life, and I guess I've said this in a while already, but pretty much whatever you're able to do in life, you should be able to do it in the market. And I think that's a really good and a bad thing. You know, it is what it is. You can use it to your advantage if you acknowledge it. You know, once you see it. So, you know, let's say you fall off, whatever. So then in real life, you know, get back up and keep going, and then get up, and then, you know, this time use that leverage and that momentum that you're creating for yourself, and then go up from there. And then yeah, you should be able to do it in the market as well. And this time, you know, usually every time you fall, you should be able to get back stronger if you have the right mentality to do it. And then yeah, you just replicate in the market, and whatever you're able to do in real life, you could do it in the market in some sort of way. Yep. And also I am posting this video like a little later, just to keep track with the story, because I mean I definitely, you know, like I did study trading for a while, so I definitely see I guess the potential that I have. And but I mean, you know, I'm pretty self-acknowledging that, you know, there was some pieces of the puzzle that I was missing. But once you find those pieces, you're able to again become stronger. And if it's not really worth it, like going into the game with the same, you know, like with the same weapon, with the same mentality, with the same loadout or whatever, you know, what I call it. You really gotta like in one way or another, you know, either strategically or you know, like upgrade your, you know, you gotta upgrade something, you know what I mean? And yeah, you just do that by acknowledging, like seriously acknowledging what you're going through, right? Ups and downs, and then creating something out of it, you know, acknowledging the bad, the good, the momentum. Maybe you don't have leverage, maybe you do. And once you acknowledge those, I mean, mainly those two things, right? The momentum and the leverage, then you're able to use those to your favor and not actually ignore them and let them go to waste. So yeah. So, you know, just how you can have a really good play, you could also have a really, really bad play. So the following play that you're about to look at is a very, very horrible play. I'm talking bad entry, right? Bad entry, horrible entry, no stop loss, kept holding, like probably the worst play you could ever see, honestly. Over leverage, like, what the fuck? Yeah, horrible play. So you want to do this, you know, listen, the thing about this is it would have been a semi-good play. Even then, you're over leveraging, right? Over leveraging, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I was trying to go for a snipe, and that's the crazy part, right? If you're going for a snipe, first of all, if you're going for a snipe, you want to have a stop loss, at least a mental quick like stop loss. But if you're holding, like, that was an actual horrible trade. Horrible trade. Not only was I playing for snipe and kept holding as if it was gonna have a reversal while it was already at a, I had two tails down there, as you can see, that were indicating that it was gonna have a reversal, retrace, right, in a bullish direction. But yeah, it makes no sense either, because I over leveraged. I put, what is it, 30 and stuff, 30 minis for no reason. So it makes absolutely zero sense. So at that point, you gotta learn something. Like, if you're going for snipes in it and you see that, oh shit, I'm down, like, one, as soon as I saw maybe minus 300, that's it. If I'm going for snipes of, for example, 100, and I see I'm 3 times down what I'm actually trying to profit, cut the losses, because at that point, that's a whole misplay. And if you're going for a misplay and you're riding the hopes and dreams of a fucking misplay, you're being delusional in a very wrong sense, right? It's weird. You shouldn't do that, because one, you're sticking onto something that will keep making you lose, when you could cut your losses, and number two, you could ride the actual wave. So it was a misplay. So instead of going for a short, if I went for a buy, I would have been up there. But instead I was losing money. So because of a misplay, and just that misread in itself, it basically just crumbles your whole tower. So if you go for a misread, you accidentally misread or whatever, fuck it, cut your losses. If it's a misread, it is what it is. Acknowledge it and get over it. And I mean, I guess just to end it off here, I guess with everything that I've learned, the best thing you can do is literally learn from someone else, their risk, their plays, that everything that they took, right? Literally learn, just learn. You have to learn one way or another. Yeah, so there's rules as to how you could play with things and how you could do things. And you have to have a balance in your rules and in your ways that you play. You for example, you cannot, you just don't do dumb stuff, bro. Like, don't get egotistical with it either. Like, understand where you started, and then as you're going up, yes, you can you can leverage up a bit, but don't over leverage. Like, and I've heard this a lot before, like, yes, you'll win once or twice, you'll get lucky, right? But then you're gonna have that one big hit where your whole account is fried, and you don't want that. You do not want that. It's like in life, when you do something risky, you usually want to have not too much risk involved in your decisions, unless you're sure of them, unless they're positive, decisions, and you're like, all right, I'm a full send this. Then in that case, since you're full sending in that direction, you're in some way your what is it called, your reward is evened out. But even then, listen, you have to be able to cut your losses one way or another. Cut your losses. Why? Because if you cut your losses and you just like, fuck it, acknowledge the loss, acknowledge the fucking out, right? It's a tough thing to do. I think, for a lot of people, for anybody, matter of fact, I don't know. But being able to acknowledge your L's and instead turn them into a learning moment, learning moment will actually help you grow. And that's just how it is. Everybody's going to have L's, and this goes for real life as well. That's what I'm saying. Whatever you're trying to do in the market, you have to be able to, do it in real life. And this is why I think that a lot of actually successful people that are good with the market are not only good with the market because they're smart and shit, but it's because of the way they actually think and have dealt with life. I used to think that I was really good at managing risk, but bro, listen, okay, that's not what I was good at. It was actually, I was good at surviving risk. Okay, That's what I was good at. I mean, I thought I was good at managing it, right? But now that I think about it, I wasn't really good at managing it, right? Maybe, I mean, listen, survival wise, managing wise, in some sort of balance, yes, I was good at it. I was able to keep going. But it gets to a point where, if you acknowledge the actual problem that you have, then you're able to, fix it or improve it. So, yeah, I mean, I was like, I have really good management skills, and it was only really, really good survival management skills. To be able to, I guess, hold minus 1,000, for example, in the opposite direction. But you don't have to be doing that. Like, you only have to do that in certain situations, right? Like in real life, you don't have to put yourself in bad situations. I'm saying, listen, bro, listen, the market is like life. The more experience you have in life, the more perspective you have in life, and the more self-acknowledgement and growth you have, the better you're going to get at the market, right? And I mean, listen, in order to get those things, you're going to have to fail. You're going to have to experience things, right? But it is what it is. Just fucking cut your losses and acknowledge the actual system that you're building. Don't think, for example, me, again, I'm so good at managing risk. No, bruh. If I was good at managing risk, I wouldn't keep being in such, shitty situations. But life is different. Life actually puts you in shitty situations sometimes. And then, you're forced to have to learn. But I mean, listen, at that point, again, you have to be able to learn. But in the market, you don't have to put yourself in those shitty situations. You don't, bruh. And you get into those shitty situations by yourself. Okay, listen, Asia market, fuck Asia market. They'll do hella crazy fake outs. But you don't have to really put yourself in that situation where you have to be in constant battle. That's not what you're trying to do, bruh. Like, that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep flowing and keep growing. Like, I mean, I guess once you get that system down in your head of, damn, I don't really have to, fight the market like this. Once you learn to be relaxed with it all, and you learn that, all right, there's a learning process to this. You suffer as much as you want to suffer, and you could multiply that suffering, and you could also, come out of that suffering sometimes very much faster. Yes, you have to suffer sometimes. Yes. It is part of life, Sometimes you do have to suffer. But you can minimize that suffering, and you could grow from that suffering. You could turn that into your advantage and into a one way. No, you don't have to keep connecting that path over and over again. No, there's a way to actually learn from it and construct a highway on top of it and go and just keep going. Like, then you'll see and you'll learn new things that will help you keep going. Things that you never really, perspectives on both life and in the market that you're like, oh, now I'm able to do this. Now I'm able to go through this type of survival with this type of tool and this type of perspective and this type of thing. Like, just, lock in. It's weird for me to say this, to lock in because I traded Asia yesterday and it didn't really go well at all, as I explained. It went kind of bad, but I mean, listen, I could stay stuck in that mentality of, but at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's a game, and you cannot really blame the game, right? Like, just like how you cannot blame life. You're in it, and you should be grateful. You should be grateful that you have the opportunity to play. Like in life, like in the market, you should be grateful in all ways. And because listen, not everybody has the ability to trade the market. Not everybody has the ability to play these games that life gives us. I'm talking, it could be a video game, it could be a market, whatever. Not everybody gets these opportunities. So I guess the more grateful you are for them, the faster you can acknowledge the mistakes as well, and you could learn from them faster. And life only really becomes slightly prettier if you allow it to, right? And you allow yourself to really see those mistakes and to grow from them. That's the only way there is, man. Like, I've tried to be very like egotistical about it all, and yeah, it does not help at all. It does not help at all. Like, it's this theory. I kept talking about it before. I think everybody should have an ego, but I don't even know about that anymore, bruh. It has to be like a 1% ego type of thing, right? 99% of it all, it's gonna be what you do and how you're doing it. That ego is just gonna be, I guess you could, for example, in life, that 1%, you could save it up and, you know, accumulate it. So it could be your legacy, right? 1%. You know, that full focus of, all right, this is what I want to leave behind. And I think that's the only way to go about ego, right? Because I think, you know, it's something that's there. It's something that should be controlled, but minimized. Why? Because it doesn't help you, right? It doesn't help you at all. You could flip it the other way around. Instead of having an ego, just be confident, right? There's ways to flip things around for the better. And yeah, man, you just gotta try and learn, bro. Don't give up. I mean, again, take your fucking L's, but don't give up. See, there's a way to go about it. Alrighty then. Hope this video might have helped one or two people. I don't know, but yeah, I really do think I'm very capable of succeeding in the markets. So, you know, who knows? Maybe I'll be back another day explaining how something went well, and I hope I do. But for now, we're on the downside. We've been on the downside. I've had a high, like a very high, right? Had a high, you know, I was high. And for, you know, a simple, not even a misread. It was more of a, misread, you know, again, that 3 p.m. close flattened me out. And I lost 8 to 9 grand. And then there, you know, there's been other situations, but I know I'm pretty capable, and it's just about being able to manage and balance, right? Balance and keep that consistent growth. Also, you don't really want to fall. Listen, talking about momentum and leverage again, right? I'm pretty sure I talked about this in one of my other videos, but you have to, you know, acknowledge where you're at, acknowledge the momentum you have and the leverage you have, which usually when you're starting, it's zero momentum. When you're trying to carry that big old boulder up, it's going to be zero momentum, right? Zero momentum because you're trying to pick it up. But once you get it rolling, you got momentum. Now you just got to keep going step by step and keep it pushing. Even if it's one step at a time. Everything almost in life, it's going to be one step at a time. Now, the more you're able to accumulate those steps in the right direction, you know, collectively, the more you're able to advance in that path or direction. You know, it's a weird system, and I think it's a great system actually, because I believe it also ties back to our own psychology of growth and experience. So, I mean, what are we here for, right? We're here to enjoy life, enjoy things, and experience. More importantly than all, experience and that 1% that you want to leave behind, the legacy. You know, none of us are immortal. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, it really is what it is. And I mean, listen, if you're gonna be alive, if you're still gonna be living, you don't want to be sad about it, right? Like, fuck this. I'm talking about like life in general, right? Like, you might as well do the best out of it, you know, to make the best out of it, and every situation. So, you know, positive attitude, you know, try your best, you know. And this can be a little tough for me to say as well, coming from like this low stance, this low point of view. But I really do believe like it's all really in the mind, and we have the ability to quite literally switch it all around, you know, with the right perspective, the right, mindset to get things rolling. And once you start and you keep going and you see that, all right, I'm accumulating steps, and you see that there's a path in that direction, and that there's things that you've never seen, things that you've never experienced in that direction, then that, in turn will make you want to keep going in that direction. But, vice versa. If you're losing, if you're going in a downward momentum, your brain is going to trick you into, oh, I want to lose more. Not you, your brain. Why? Because your brain seeks experience. I guess I could say this in the subconscious side of it all. Your brain usually seeks experience. Thus why a lot of people might struggle with self-control, and a lot of times self-control, because you have a sort of balance in between two sides, right? One wanting to, I guess, again, and so there's a balance in one wanting to, follow the experience, and then one wanting to control the experience, which is why we're such beautiful creatures, right? And we're able to live in such great ways, I guess you could say. But we're also able to live in very, very terrible ways, which you think, damn, how did this person get into this type of state? And then it's like, well, they went on a downward spiral, and instead of acknowledging the downward spiral, they kept going in that direction because they thought that's who they were, or that's the direction that they were trying to chase in some sort of way. So yeah, just be able to have that acknowledgement, that self-acknowledgement. And no, listen, everybody's gonna take those L's. Everybody. So just learn to take that out, make something out of it, aka the letter learn. Construct that. Learn. Is that how you spell it, right? I wasn't spelling bee, so I hope. Anyways, life loves you, and just try your best. Things do tend to get better, they should get better with the right steps in the right direction. And remember, those things accumulate. Those things always accumulate. Now, whether you get your chance now or later, it'll pay off. Trust me, it'll pay off. It'll really, really pay off. You just gotta stay consistent and true to yourself and to the beautiful path you're trying to create. Yeah, love you.